Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Africam Show, brought to you by explore.org. Of course, it's me, Trishala, spending some time with you before I head off again for a little bit. Welcome, everyone. If this is the first time that you're joining us, this is when we get to watch all the wonderful cams that we have. Watch these beautiful animals coming through here. We've got some oryx on the old Donio cam, and we get to chat about it, and you get to send in your questions and your comments because we're live and interactive. So far, we've got some hellos. Oh, Ozzy Jan too, you're there. You've just arrived with your coffee. Yay. Amber Co, you say a good Tuesday all. Thanks. You're thanking me. Thank you, Charlotte, for your gift of time. My absolute pleasure. And then we've got Rose M. Oh, I love this. You say, good morning, animal appreciators. Animal appreciators indeed. That's why one of the reasons that I really love doing this, because it's a group of people across the world that really appreciate animals and wildlife and are interested in knowing a little bit more. And that's really important to me. And I love that I love seeing people get curious. Rolling Travel, hey Rolling Travel, you say hi Trish from Washington State. And then we have a Rosa Torres Bravo that says good morning from Houston, Texas. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, Zygote, you say hi Trishala, namaste, namaste to you too, Zygote. Thank you for joining us. So this is wonderful. At the moment, we're looking at some oryx here in at the Aldonio camp. So oryx is very, very, very closely related to the Kemsbok, which is the South African oryx. And up in East Africa, there is the East African oryx. In fact, at one point, the East African oryx was simply thought to be a subspecies of the South African oryx. But since then, it's been defined as its own species. They look very, very, very similar. In fact, it's very hard to tell them apart. But the horns of the East African oryx is a little bit straighter. And they're actually quite rare. So it's wonderful to be able to see them. And also, the Aldonio cam is so perfectly positioned that we see some fantastic sightings. So I'm really happy that we got to see those oryx, even though they are maybe rare, or they are rare, in many other areas, probably quite close to Aldonio too. Mindy Telepal, hi Mindy, you say a happy Valentine's Day. Why, thank you, a happy Valentine's Day to you too. Not that it's anything that I subscribe to, but I do feel a lot of extra love on this day. Whether it is through the ostentatious social media posts that I see, or just through random people or wonderful people like you, Mindy, wishing me a good Valentine's Day. Either way, I feel a little bit more love on this day, and I hope you all do too. Wow, look at this water. So if you were unaware of what's been happening in South Africa over the last couple weeks, actually, particularly in the areas where these cameras are. So South Africa is divided into two rainfall periods. So the Western Cape, which is where I live, we get winter rainfall. So our summers are dry and hot. Now in the eastern parts of South Africa, and the northern parts of South Africa, you get summer rainfall. So when it's hot, it's also very, very wet. So this is still the wet season in the areas that we have our Medi cameras. But this time, especially over the last few weeks, there has been so much rain. Dams are full, rivers are flowing. It's a little bit destructive as well. I think Bob from Kalamazoo had mentioned it previously, and we were talking to Ali about it as well, because she lives in the Lowveld, and she was explaining that it's quite crazy where she is. Look at this. So this is the Olifants River, and it is flowing really, really hard. I mean, bridges have been washed away in game reserves. There would be no off-roading in game reserves. There are lots of trees down. There is a whole lot of water. So much water. And Rolling Trouble says the same thing. So much water indeed. Kimunji, you say it's your first time here? Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I hope that you will continue to enjoy the splendors of Africa and our wildlife through this avenue with us. Remember that you can ask whatever you like, and you can even just comment like you just did. Oh, hi Ian Beach. You say hi Trishala. This is not really related to what we're looking at, but it's a really good question. We'd like to know if the elephant's ear canal is the vertical slit on the head, just in front of the ear flap. I think I know what you mean. So just like our ears, the outer ear, the part that flaps, or the part that you can touch on your ear, that's called a pinnae. It's the part that funnels and directs sound into the ear canal. And then the inner ear, that's where all the actual hearing happens. That inner ear for us and for elephants is in front of that flap. So that I think that's exactly what you're describing. So because you can't really see the hole, but you kind of see the folds in the skin and the darkness in that area. So it is the hole in front of the flap. Have a look at how green everything is. It's amazing. Of course, this makes viewing and finding animals a little bit more difficult because everything is so thick and lush. And also there's a lot of play with light, and many animals are patterned, and the patterns are usually dark and light colors contrasting, which are meant to imitate light coming through leaves and changes in light. So they become a lot harder to spot when there's a lot of cover. But at the same time, water brings life, and it provides water to the trees that are providing homes and shelter to animals and food. So it's a very important part of the food chain. Now there's a couple things that we can expect when we have heavy rains in terms of animals' behavior. One is that you're likely to see hippos in pans that you won't ordinarily see them in. And that's because hippos are obviously very reliant on water, and they need water to be able to move around. So if it is the dry season and there isn't much water around, they will concentrate in big dams or permanent water bodies, which also means that any bulls that want to be territorial, they have to just be submissive and stay in the dam because there's only water there. But now that there's a whole lot of water around, those young hippo bulls that actually do feel the need to be territorial and it's time for them to move and find their own territory, this is the time that they can do it. So they can move from one little pan to another, trying to carve out some territory for themselves. The other thing that we're going to see is that the cameras that are near pans and dams and rivers, we might not see the abundance of wildlife that we're used to in the dry season because animals have other places to drink from. They don't specifically have to come down to the water hole in order to drink. They can basically be anywhere, and they're likely to find a spot of water. Now, these hippos in the middle here are probably having the time of their lives in all this water. So much abundance. Now, on the right and the left of the image that we're looking at, you can see two white spots. Those are quite important at this time of the year too. Those two white spots are nests, but they're nests of a grey tree frog or a foam nest frog. And they create these nests over trees so that their tadpoles can fall directly into the water when the rainy season comes. I just saw a bit of a territorial yawn from one of the hippos in here, but it looks like it's all kind of fun and games for now. There's so much water around, it's unlikely that we're going to see many territorial matches. And animals do have to learn these behaviors, learn how to hone those skills. What is acceptable? Who can they confront? Who can't they confront? What hurts? What doesn't? Those are all very important things for young animals or sub-adults to learn those boundaries before they move out to find territories of their own. And that's also why play is such an important part of the development of all mammals. Rolling Trouble, you say rivers are running that have not run in years. Absolutely, absolutely. We have very, very many riverbeds in the reserves across South Africa, and sometimes I think for the first 2 years of no, well, the first year and a half of my guiding career, I had known those riverbeds as these dry, sandy places that you can take a walk through. And it's such a beautiful thing when you get sufficient rains and they come alive and you see them in all their glory. Hi, Jirel. You would like to know something really interesting. You say that Canadian moose shed their antlers. Does this happen to African animals with horns or antlers? No, this doesn't. So there aren't any African antelope that have antlers. Our African antelope have horns, and horns are a permanent fixture on the body. They have sinus cavities, they have nerves, they have bone, to an extent blood vessels, so they cannot be shed. They're a permanent fixture, and it would hurt if they had to break a part of their horn or their entire horn. So there's no shedding of those protrusions involved at all. Yeah, we have two animals that are loving this rain. Both will drink readily, but the wildebeest are more water dependent than the zebra. But the thing that these both species will about the rain is the wonderful grass growth that happens following it. The more nutritious, moisture-rich grass you can eat, the better. Ian Beach, you say warmest regards and a happy Valentine's Day from Ian and Elaine on the Isle of Man. Thank you very much. Again, I'm collecting all this wonderful love on Valentine's Day. Oh, Bob, you've made it! Bob from Kalamazoo says, good day, Trish. You're a little late, and this is the highest, or that is the highest you've ever seen the Oliphants. It is amazing to see this amount of water. And the effects of it as well. Oh, Andy, you say that those two hippos that we were looking at earlier that were kind of play territorial displaying have been going at it for hours. Yeah, Andy, practice makes perfect. You gotta keep on going. Got some blacksmith lapwings as well. You can hear them quite clearly. And you can see it at the bottom left of this image. I always feel that animals are so much more relaxed during the rainy season because there's so much more abundance, and though the natural competition between species will always exist, it's one of the driving forces of each species' evolution is competition. But during the wet season when there's so much abundance, general competition seems to lessen a little bit because there's just so much more to go around. And you can kind of feel it in the bush. Oh, Gemma, I almost missed your comment. You say hello from a sunny New Jersey. You hope that I've got my goulashes on for the wet weather. My gumboots, and one of those, maybe is that what you're talking about? That like fishing pants that you wear with straps that people clean ponds with. I think that's what you mean. Luckily for me, Gemma, It has not rained in Cape Town yet. We've had beautiful sunny days. Unfortunately, the rest of the country is swimming. I'm leaving to the Eastern Cape tomorrow, where it is raining as well. So we'll see how it is. Oh, lovely. Another animal enjoying the greenery. Well, it's not a little, it's a nyalabu. Andy, you read my mind. Andy says, I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful mosquito season there. Yes, exactly. There are going to be tons of mosquitoes around. Now, if I was nice and hairy like this nyala bull, that wouldn't be too much of a problem for me. Oh, this is amazing. So it's a harrier hawk. Just trying to see if there's a partner around, or if there's another bird around. I'm not sure if what I'm seeing is just the camera or the light, or whether its facial skin is flushing. So when the facial, so you can obviously see the skin on their face, around their eye, has no feathers, and it can change color. So if blood is very close to the skin, the blood vessels are very close to the skin, then it can flush an orangey red or pink, and then when it's relaxed, it's yellowy. So now I can't tell if I am just seeing plays of light or whether it's actually changing color. But when they're interacting with other birds, then it can change color. Let's see, are you going to go down for a drink? Harrier hawks are some of the most wonderful birds to watch. Apart from the color changing facial skin, they have really interesting hunting techniques. I've seen one putting its claw into a nest, into like a hole in a tree trunk, into the nest, and move its foot. Gosh, that was a hard word to get out. To move its foot and grab chicks out of nests and consume them. Go on, go have a drink. Go. Oh yes, give yourself a bit of a clean. Oh. Harrier hawks do prey on other birds, so that's probably why you can see doves going a little bit crazy. I'm just listening to the flapping of the wings of all these other birds that are feeling a little bit insecure, a little bit unsafe because of the harrier hawk's presence. Very casual guinea fowl. Here you can see that the harrier hawk is standing on one leg. Well, that's something quite a few birds do. And at first, so obviously for the majority of birds, the legs are not feathered. The only exception to that is true eagles, who have feathers on their legs. But a lot of their legs are unfeathered, and so it would make sense that if they pick one leg up against their body, they're reducing their heat loss from their legs by 50%. But even though that's definitely happening, but we're not sure if that's the reason that they actually stand on one leg. But then an experiment was done, particularly on flamingos, who obviously stand like this quite often. And it was found that because of the center of gravity of many birds, standing on like this actually uses less energy at rest than standing on two legs. Which I think is amazing. They're able to balance and use less energy by standing on one leg. Rose M, you say, wow, this hawk is gorgeous. It absolutely is. Seems like it's a little bit windy up in at Old Donio. Mary Momo, you say hi to Shala. You're rolling in late from a rainy Hot Springs, Arkansas. No problem at all. Thank you so much for joining us. Mary Momo, it's been raining crazily down here in South Africa too. Rose M, you'd like to know if this is a male or a female? They basically are very difficult to tell apart. The sexes are alike. And so I wouldn't be able to tell you. The best way, of course, to tell is to watch them mating. But there's really no other way. There's not even a huge difference in their size between sexes. I've gotten a few questions about the rain and the water, so I'm going to go through those while we watch this beautiful harrier hawk. Still keep my eye on it, of course. Mindy Tillapau, you would like to know if the increase in rain will cause an increase in the movement of crocodiles in the area. It may do that. It may not be the cause of it, but it will, so there won't suddenly be an increase in crocodiles. So the rain won't cause an increase in crocodiles, but the rain could cause an increase in the movement of crocodiles that already exist in the area. So there may be baby crocodiles that have now become juveniles, or even juveniles that have become sub-adults, that would like to go and find their own territories, and this is the time to do that, much like hippos. So you might even find crocodiles in areas that you ordinarily hadn't seen them. So this rain, and especially the rain creating corridors between pans or dams, creates the opportunity for crocodiles to move around. And Dural, you were wondering about crocodiles and hippos in the Olifants River, whether they make it. Sorry, I'm just reading this again. Okay, so you're asking about, with the river being so large and swollen with such a strong current, are they able to actually withstand that kind of force? Yes, they are. In fact, there's some. Well, let me start by saying both hippos and crocodiles have evolved for an aquatic or semi-aquatic lifestyle. So they will be able to withstand those currents. And even not just from a physiological evolutionary perspective, so not just their body, but also their behavior. If at some point the current gets too dangerous or they're unable to control their movements, they will move off to the side, or they will perhaps move to a lower spot in the river if they feel there's less current deeper. They can pick up these changes very, very easily and then accommodate for them by changing their behavior. But they certainly will be able to withstand those currents. And remember that both are very heavy animals as well. Of course, when it comes to the current of water, fast-moving water, there's a lot of force that's generated. But these animals have lived with it for thousands and thousands of years. And I can't say that I've ever seen, so I've seen some rivers flowing pretty crazily. Well, in say the way that the Olifants is flowing at the moment. And I've still seen hippos in certain spots of it. They might not be right in the middle. And I can't say that I've ever seen a crocodile or a hippo kind of, being swept away. But I can completely understand, Jarell, how it can seem that way. It can seem a bit too strong for any animal. But there are always sections that are livable, especially for animals who have evolved and adapted for a semi-aquatic lifestyle. Rose M, you're just thanking me for explaining that the males and females of the African harrier hawk are indistinguishable, basically. And Mindy Tillapau, you say that is why I would never go into any body of water in Africa. I mean, that's probably not a bad rule, especially in wild areas. Not a bad rule at all. Anyway, everybody, it was an honor and a privilege, as always, to spend this half an hour with you all and with all these wonderful animals and the rain and the vegetation across our numerous camps. Thank you so much for all your questions and your comments, and of course, for just showing up here with me. I will not see you for the next 2 weeks or so, but then I'll be back soon. So have fun and have a good day wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.